So I have a boat that doesn't really run anymore. And I was thinking, hey, I could use that hull, and instead of putting a gas motor, I could put an electric motor on it, maybe make it a solar boat. But it turns out that's super expensive, and something that size would go very slow unless you're wanting to spend a fortune. And then so we got a jet ski, which was awesome. We still use it all the time. We love it. The only disadvantage is that it's just so loud, and we really enjoy the peace of the nature. It's so peaceful here. It's so quiet. We really love the peace and quiet when we're on the lake. Well, that loud internal combustion engine is just not very quiet. So basically I decided, hey, let's do an electric jet ski. I can get an old, cheap, broken down jet ski, make it electric. That'll be great. Looked into it. It's a lot of work, and it's just, the results aren't good unless you're excellent at it. Or if you can buy electric jet skis now, but you're talking like 20 grand, and that's a lot more than I wanted to really spend on a project like this. So I thought, well, let me make an electric boat. But then I was like, well, I don't want to have to go out there for an hour, charge it up, and come back and go back and forth. So I was like, well, let me make a solar boat. So I said, hey, let's do something lightweight. So let's do an inflatable raft, extremely lightweight. I calculate I can get about 510 watts of solar panels on top of this. Basically, it'll be the canopy of the boat. I'm getting about a 8 to 10 horsepower electric motor. I think you could probably drive anywhere from 5 to 10 miles an hour, indefinitely, as long as you have sun. But I think that, you could go full speed for 30 minutes if you wanted to, and then just slow down and enjoy the scenery. All right, we're getting started here. We got Kaboat, which is a cross between a kayak and a little inflatable boat. So far, it's really nice. We took it out on the water once just to test it out, but it's incredibly stable, and it's just super high quality. Got the center console from the same place at boatstogo.com. And the steering wheel and stuff I got on Amazon. So right now I'm going to go ahead and inflate this, and I want to get a measurement for the inside here so I can go buy some PVC board or plywood of some sort to put on the bottom so I can mount the seats and the steering wheel to it. Okay, you can see this is a really large boat. It's actually 12.5 feet. It seems larger, I don't know. But there it is, completely inflated except for the keel down on the bottom. You can inflate it through there, but I don't need to do that right now. This pump that I got here, it's an airhead pump, high pressure, high output. I think it does 2.5 psi. So all the tubes recommend 2.9. I just put 2.5 for now. It's fine. On this part down here, I'm actually getting right at 22 inches. And that's what size you want to cut the floor. I think 22 inches would be perfect. I don't want it so wide that it pushes in on the boat here and causes any damage. But I don't want it so narrow that it would have the potential to fall over sideways. So I think 22 will be perfect. I guess we'll find out.
5 hours later.
So here we are, 22 inches wide. I think I went about 5 foot in length. So right now I'm trying to put it in. It's a little bit too wide, which is what I want. Let me release the air pressure. Yeah, I think that'll work. Let me air it back up and see what happens. So it fits pretty good, actually. I mean, it could probably stand to be a touch wider, because you could pull it up. Also, these tubes are not inflated 100%, but I think it'd be perfect. And also I think it's a little bit less than 22 inches. I had the guy at Lowe's cut it for me, and I think he cut it just a touch less. But I'd rather be this way than pushing into these tubes, because I don't want to make a hole in these tubes. But I think with all the weight on it, you know, and it being in these tubes being properly inflated, I don't think it's going anywhere. So I couldn't stand it to just look like regular plywood, so I just painted it gray. And I just got this random gray color, matte glacier gray, Krylon Fusion all in one. But you know, from my memory, it looked like it was probably the best match. And I think it looks actually pretty darn close. I mean, you can see here the gray there, the gray there, and really that gray down there is what we're wanting to match. So here's the board with the paint and then the tape on the edges. I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but I ran one, you know, completely around the side here, and then this one over to kind of hold the edge down. And then you can see here I reinforced the corners quite a bit. I mean, it's not a huge amount, but it's certainly not sharp at all anymore. So I just set it inside right now while the bottom floor is deflated. Let's try to inflate it from here and see if it helps lock it into position a little better. Yeah, so I think it worked perfectly. You can see it's really pretty tight. But I don't feel like it's harming the sides at all, especially with that tape there. That color matches perfectly, look at that. Got the steering wheel starting to look like a real boat. Got some tunes. Actually, it's just holding it down right now. I don't have it bolted in. But I think that's where I'm going to mount it anyway, because that's an awesome spot. Oh, shit, almost fell. That's a awesome spot there. You gotta have your speedometer, and you gotta have your tunes. Your royalty-free tunes. I decided to move my work area up to the front here. I just got tired of bringing it all the way from the back deck all the way up over to that trailer or the vehicle to try to move it. So it's just going to be much easier to work on it from here. Okay, so here we are. Got some more parts in, got the tubing. So initially I planned on just having one support on the back and one on the front. Of course, I'll cut that. But then it was way too much weight in this center portion here, so I need to add another one in the middle. Now on these, I only got 4 of these, so basically they're like, on a bimini top, and these will just glue to the side of the raft. I can already see, I wish I would have went with a little bit larger pipe, like 1 1/4 inch. This is 1 inch. Just because, I think this will work. Initially I was going to go higher with the canopy, but due to this being not super stable, I wanted to go as short as possible, but still have high. I think this will work fine. It will be a lot more stable once I, of course, cement these joints and make them really nice and snug. But I still kind of wish I would have had a 1 1/4 inch. I think this will work though, so I'm not going to go buy everything again and wait for it to be delivered. So I just want to test here, see how much headroom I have getting into it. Here I'm standing on the ground. I'm ducked down a little bit, but I mean not really too much. And then here I am on the floor of the boat. It's really not bad standing up. I mean, I do have to bend over quite a bit, but sitting down, which is where I'm going to be operating this from most of the time, it's pretty perfect. I mean, you can see I got a good 6 inches or so of clearance, so I think it'll work fine. Okay, I got everything cut to the proper length. We are ready to go. Basically, the next thing we'll do is I'm going to install all 4 of those, and then I'm going to install some cotter pins here, or not cotter pins, but just some sort of pin, trailer pin, because I want to make this modular where this top comes off. So all right, now it's time to get our hands dirty. This is pretty stupid. So on the bottom legs, and then I'm gonna have some on the side as well. I don't want them to be on there permanently. I just want them to be removable. So I'm just going to drill a hole right through here. So I got these trailer pins here. Drilled the hole there. Put that on the other side. That'll work fine. This way it'll be removable. This one I bent a little, but the other ones are kind of flared up in the opposite direction. And of course you need it to curve around the tube. So I just bend it in like this. I'm gonna hold it for a few minutes before I install it. So you're supposed to use acetone or something like that, some sort of solvent, to really clean all the dust off of these things before you kind of put any PVC parts together. I don't have anything like that, so I figured some vodka might work. That's pretty good. And I've been squishing this piece down a little bit, trying to make it somewhat curved. I think I'm just going to apply it to this instead of to the boat. I know you're probably supposed to do it to both sides, but there's not going to be a huge amount of pressure on this. Pressure on this should be down, not like to the side. It's not like a D-ring where you're going to have pressure pulling on it or something. So I think this might be sufficient. We'll find out. And then we'll just hold it here for I don't know how long. I think it looks good. It seems to be sticking down. Nothing come out. I was worried initially about some of the goop coming out and dripping down, but it did not do that because I didn't put too much on there. But everything seems to be held down perfectly. So we'll let that dry and we'll see how strong it is. There's our Torqueedo Cruise 4.0. I'm actually going to get a new propeller for it. That propeller we'll use right now, but the one I'm going to get is basically for lighter craft, because obviously this whole thing together is going to weigh, I mean, maybe just a couple 100 pounds. And these transom wells here, I think they're a Pack Trade brand. About half the price and about half the height of some of the other ones, but I think they're absolutely perfect on this, actually. My concern was that they'll be too low to the ground and not give the boat enough clearance. So what I did is I eject up the front a little bit, and you can see there's still plenty of clearance for the tubes, plenty of clearance for the motor. You can see there's plenty of clearance.
Got our new seats in. They look pretty nice. It's a little bit darker red than what I was hoping, but I mean, who cares? I got these flange, or whatever they are, type of bolts here. I'm hoping when I screw them in all the way, they'll become flush with that and they won't poke out. I don't want them to accidentally, rub a hole in the inflatable floor. So I found some new tape that's thicker and stronger. And I thought, even though these are pretty flush with the bottom, you can see a little indentation there, but it's pretty flush. I thought I'd go ahead and cover up every single one. Why risk it? Starting to look really good. Got the new motor mounted on it, the seats, steering done. The back of the steering system. Down, just having it through here. But it's really not bad. It's out of the way. It's not too bad. Like, it's not, you can walk by it on both sides. And this right here just worked out really well to kind of hold it down. It goes right there into the motor mount. So I thought I'd take a little test drive. I don't have the proper battery yet, but this one will work somewhat. I just won't be able to go full speed. And everything's just very temporarily hooked up. And of course I don't have the solar panels on yet, but I just wanted to see how this is going to work. I mean, it's a decent amount of room. I don't have to keep my feet up there. I can put them down here and cross them, whatever. There's a lot of room. I'm just doing it for comfort. Oh, geez, I better turn. Right now I'm only using right at 100 watts, a little over. Earlier it was right at 100. If you use about 500, which is what my panels will put out, it will go about 5 miles an hour. So that means you could go 5 miles an hour, you know, just all day long. All the weight is just not equally balanced. It's definitely too far to the back. I mean, I know I weigh a lot, but even if I didn't, it still would be too far to the back. So definitely gonna have to try to move this up. I may actually cut part of the front of the board off a bit so it can go up a little further and go into the tubes a little deeper. Once you scoot this thing up, the front of this really pokes into the side because the tubes, as you can see, they curve in about right there. They start curving in. So when I go up here a little ways, it pokes in the sides quite a bit. So now I've tried to do it where it's a lot better and kind of curved. So hopefully it'll set against the front a little bit better. So I've tried some different things on this. I used to have this top on it over here. I thought I would lay the panels on that. Really, you don't need that though. That thing weighs 23 pounds or something, as is. I just don't need that weight, especially all that extra weight up on top of this to make it real wobbly. So I'm just gonna put the panels directly on there. And then I've determined I just need some more supports across here so I can support the panels directly. So I've got 4 more of these I'm gonna insert across here. So I put 4 supporting ones across the bottom, but you can see they work great. The panels themselves are really rigid. I didn't think they were this rigid. You know, before I got them, I figured they'd be a lot more flimsy. The way I secured them is just with this tape you can see here. I mean, maybe it doesn't look the best, but I was wondering if it was gonna be secure or not. And as you can see here, I can just lift the whole thing up just by pushing on this, which is only secured with this tape here. I think it'll actually hold it down, no problems. What I did do though, just in case, I went ahead and connected all these panels together. That way, if one of them does come off or something comes loose, the other ones will be there because I don't want to lose these things in the freaking lake. So what I ended up doing to anchor these, you know, is I had these eye ends, and they're gonna go into that bimini top thing, but then this top part didn't fit. So I tried different things, but basically I just ended up putting some tape around it, and then I kind of flared the tape out on the end. But it actually fits very nicely, really snug. It's not going anywhere. Plus this flared end will prevent it from going up in the tube. And then I'm going to go ahead and use some PVC cement and glue them in there as well. This battery is a 35 amp hour battery. I need like a 100 amp hour battery to really be able to discharge my full current continuously. The panels hooked together, and then they're going to come to this box here. right now it's just got the solar controller, which is excellent controller. So I got the solar panels going in here, the controller. I've got the battery coming out of here. And I'm gonna hook that to this battery so it can charge. As you can see, we got the top on. It works pretty well. It's a little bit, I hit some waves earlier, and when it starts rocking back and forth, like you can see this thing is really moving. I don't think it's gonna break off, but it does, it's a little worrisome, so I'm gonna try to do something else maybe to stabilize this a little bit better. But I mean, it's fine, it's not going anywhere. I wanted to show you a little bit of what I'm actually seeing from my charge controller. You see the wattage on top there from the panels. Then you see the voltage and current from the panels. And then you see the actual battery voltage. And then you see how many amps are being currently put into the battery. Okay, so we got our new battery in. It is a 100 amp hour battery. Now the thing that concerns me a bit is the maximum load says 3,000 watts. So I talked to the manufacturer because their ad says 4,000 watts. They said, it's okay, it'll work, try it. So that's what I'm gonna do, I guess. That's kind of a nice feature built into the battery charging port.
The problem I'm having is that the wattage at most is like 3,800 to 4,000 watts with me on it. Now, I don't know whether that's due to a limitation from my battery or if that's just due to the motor not being able to push out enough wattage due to the propeller. So what I did right now is I went ahead and switched from the faster, lower power propeller to the slower, higher power propeller. I know on the faster propeller, I was only getting maybe 3,800 watts, maybe 4,000 watts tops. So what it is, I put back on the original propeller. I'm gonna try it now. I'm gonna see how many watts I get. If I get more than 4,000 watts, that means that it's not being limited by the battery, it's just being limited by the propeller, really. Either way, I don't think I'm gonna get on a plane just because I'm too big, but my goal is to get my wife on a plane. She weighs like less than half of what I weigh, so I'm hoping that we can do that. So, let me get this going now. Okay. That's a stupid way to hold the camera. So I'm gonna try to do this here so we can see as we're going, but also try not to capsize. Because if you may not notice, I'm not in the driver's seat, so this is like everything's backwards and scurry. I don't know, that was really inconclusive. The only thing that I'm thinking though is that I know with my wife on it before, I'll post that video now. She was getting much more wattage, quite a bit more speed too, which makes sense, right? So I'm thinking the less weight, the wattage goes up, meaning that even less weight, the wattage will go up further until it maxes at, I don't know what, I'm hoping that's the limitation, not my battery, because this battery, it was like a fifth of the price of the actual Torqueedo battery, but there's no way in hell I'm spending $6 grand on a friggin' battery. So the old wifey here ran out of gas, and now we got the electric vehicle towing the ice vehicle there, all by the power of the sun. So I think I'm actually going to make this the end of the video. If I keep waiting to post this video until everything is perfect, I will never post the video. So for the most part, it's done. There are a few, loose ends I need to do, but functionally, it's actually done. I do actually still have it. I haven't put anything on these yet, just bouncing around. So that'll make that part more stable when I make these on both sides. It'll make it more stable. Still though, if you do this yourself, just go with a little bit larger PVC, or really aluminum would probably be best. I should have done that from the beginning. But if I ever make more of these, we'll learn from my mistakes. So the fastest I really got right now was 11.2 miles an hour with my wife. But she was definitely not on a plane, and she wasn't even level. She was really unbalanced. So if she sat in like the front seat, or if I rebalance this to where it would be level, I think she would get faster than that. But I still don't think she would get on a plane as is. So I think what I'm going to do is just end this for now, and then I'm gonna make a part 2 later on. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at the comments, because I'm sure a lot of people know a lot more about this than I do. So if you guys know something, just post it in the comments. Help me out. Help me try to get this thing on a plane. So I was really unable to do that so far. I'm going to try next. I'm going to try like hydrofoil, like trim tabs, stabilizers on the motor, stuff like that. And then I intended for like the end of the video to be a bunch of cool drone shots of the boat driving around and stuff, but I don't feel like it's going fast enough yet, so it's just not going to be quite as impressive. So I'm going to save that for part 2. So be sure and subscribe, and then do the notification thing too, because when part 2 comes out, you'll be notified that way. So it's been fun, and I will see you in part 2.